I'll go over the roots of the legislator and who represents us in Congress, looking at the current Congress. As we've discussed in class, we have a bicameral legislator. As a reminder, the House of Representatives based on population. So as the number of population goes up in a state, the more representatives they have in the House out of the 435. And as it decreases, they lose seats. So this is why the census every 10 years is so important because accurate counts or inaccurate counts too can have a huge impact on representation in the House, especially. This to the qualifications to be a member of the House are listed there below. So 25 years at least of age, 7 years U.S. citizen, 2 years is the length of term, and then your constituents are local in your congressional district. Whereas in the Senate, we have 2 senators per state. No change based on population. We have minimum age of 30, and they have to be a citizen for at least 9 years. Length of term is 6, as you can see, is 3 times as much as the House. And then your constituency is both local and statewide because since there's 2 senators and they cover the whole state, you deal with both local and statewide issues. So that's it. That's all it takes to run for the legislator. So moving on, we're going to look at who represents us. So we're going to start with age. The House members in the current 119th Congress are the same percentage, 57 years, 9.9, 57.9 years old. So about 58 years old is the average, and that stayed the same from the 118th Congress. You may be asking, oh, why are you saying 119th, 118th? So the number of Congress changes every 2 years, and so we're in the 119th Congress, so that means that there's been 119 seatings of Congress, so that's every 2 years again. So the next election in 2026, after the election is over, and in January they will seat the 120th Congress, that January 2027. Senators, they got younger in this last election, meaning the average age did 63.9 years. They were around 65 before, so it decreased in age, so younger for senators. Some other things about age. This is from Pew Research, kind of breaks it down by both age categories and generation. So I'll go left to right. So you can see in the House, this dark kind of purple color is 90 plus. So we have one person in the Senate that is over 90 years old. In the 80 to 89 range, we have 5, 13 in the House, 71 from 70 to 79, and 27 in the Senate. And then 104 people are 60 to 69 in the House, 33 in the Senate. 21 are 50 to 59, 114. Then you can see 96 are in the 40 to 49 range, 10 in the Senate. And then the Senate has 2 folks that are 30 to 39. Remember, that's the minimum age is 30, so they couldn't have 20 to 29, but there is one in the House, 35 between that age range, 30 to 39. So let's move over to the generational kind of breakdown. They point out that Gen Z, we have 1 representative from Gen Z in the House, 66 millennial and 5 in the Senate. Gen X, you can see there's 180 in the House, 28 in the Senate, 60 boomer generation in the Senate, and then 170 in the House. So you can see that Gen Z has the largest number here. And then, I went back. 17 from the silent generation, the oldest generation, and then 6 in the Senate. So it gives you a little breakdown on age. They point out also that younger generations make up a growing share of Congress, especially in the House, as I pointed out. So you can kind of look through that data. And all this is linked in the read and review, the survey data from Pew. Let's look at gender. So women make up 29% of the House. To give you, in terms of population, women are 51% of the population, and yet they only hold about a third of the House of Representatives, and then women only hold a quarter of the Senate currently. You can see this, the gains have been made, but we're still nowhere near the rest of the world. So I'm going to exit out of here and show you what I mean here. Um, so this is from Congress. They look around the world at legislators. And so this is national legislators with women holding 40% or more of the seats. They go by the ranking, the country, what kind of legislator they have, bicameral. That means two houses are unicameral. Is there a quota? So what does this mean? This means that in some countries, they basically hold seats for women, saying only women can fill these seats. They tell you how many total legislative seats there are in the legislature there, and how many seats are held by women, and the percentage. So Rwanda is the top country there, followed by Cuba. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but you can kind of see here if we go down the countries, and most of them have some kind of quota system, except for Denmark. Denmark is one of the anomalies here. So in the top 24, you can see there's some kind of and then they all vary the different quota systems, and you can read more about this is linked. Now, if you look at this is like the G20 countries, the wealthy countries, basically. And you're like, well, I haven't seen the United States. Well, that's because we're number 80 in the world. We have no quota system, and yeah, so you can see that. Okay, so a little bit about gender and the legislator. Now let's look at LGBTQ members of Congress. This is growing over time. The House is the yellow, and the kind of dark, whatever that is, mustard color is the Senate. So you can see that since uh, well, this is like in the 80s, but you can see kind of the growth there in members, and currently we're at 13. It stayed steady and during the last election. Um, okay, now racial composition. This is all self-reported data, by the way, I should say. It doesn't mean that anybody goes uh, contested. It's just what the members are reporting themselves. So let's look at kind of the House and the Senate in terms of race and ethnicity. So in the House, you can see that there are 64 or 61 members that identify as African American, 46 Hispanic, 18 Asian American, and 5 multiracial, 3 Native American members, and then in the Senate, 1 Native American, 3 Asian American, 7 Hispanic, and 5 Black. And so you can see the remaining identified as white. So you can see kind of the growth they point out. They show you kind of this bar graph over time, and how the Congress has grown in terms of diversity, racial and ethnic diversity. Now, if you look at the percentage of population, they make this point as well, that in terms of the percent who identifies white, you could see how that's declined over time. And yet, so the bottom line is the U.S. population. And then if you look at Congress, you can see there's an overrepresentation of that in Congress. So next, members' education. Unfortunately, there's not a really great graph here. It's just a bunch of data. So the bullet points kind of point out that 19 members have no educational degree beyond high school diploma or GED. 1 member in the House, 1 in the Senate has an associate degree. It's their highest, 109, and 22 to 100 members, 109 members of the House and 22 in the Senate, masters. And then you can kind of read the rest about how many hold law degrees, which is the most predominant one, a degree held in Congress, and then how many have doctoral degrees or medical degrees. So they kind of point out, from the 99th to current day, some data there, so you can look that over. So occupations, where did they come from? Where did they work previously? A lot here you can see most common professions are law, business, and public service or politics. So they point out some percentages here about how many people had law degrees and practice law in the House and then in the Senate. And then they go through and kind of these are the, again, self-identified occupations from the legislators. So I'm not going to read through all the list. You can kind of take a look on your own. And then they even go into more depth. Some of these are kind of interesting. There's an artist, there's a couple of, 16 insurance agents, restaurateurs, farmers, etc. So anyway, there's a little bit about the occupational background. I did find this interesting. They point out that the number of veterans have decreased, and you can see the kind of how that has happened over time. So, in the height, I guess, in the 70s, you can see there's like 81%. And then, in the Senate, and then you could see the House there and how that's fallen over time. Religion. So the changes they point out, as I've said in class before, the religiously kind of unaffiliated is the fastest growing. And so you can kind of see, this steady decline. It's been pretty consistent, I guess, since, the 2000s, but this is basically just Christianity, Jewish, and then other. And so these are all self-identified. You can see Protestant being the most commonly cited sect of Christianity, and then followed by Catholic. And you can kind of read through there. So yeah, a little bit about religion and their background. So this is kind of a question that you're going to identify or respond to in the journal. And so this video is to try to help you prompt for that. And so, yeah, so that's it for now. Hopefully this helped identify some of the requirements and who serves us or represents us in Congress. Take care.